And you expected 72 hours, but here we are at 74. Wow. Can you believe it? Actually, a little over 74, to be honest. We were supposed to end at 72 hours, but here we are for another fasting check-in for this week. And I'm so excited because we've had an amazing time this week talking about the synergy between fasting and with strength training. You know, we introduced the pillars of the health action plan just a few weeks ago, and we've been walking through those, and we've had a great time talking about the benefits, not of just of fasting, but the benefits of strength training. And then when you pair them together, fasting, resetting the body, and then strength training, building this machinery that we have that helps us with our metabolism. Hey, I'm glad that you're with me. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. If you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because we'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and with some music. And let you know that we are happy that you are in the space. If you have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Make sure you put a Q in front of it because we'd love to get to those and answer those questions as we move throughout our episode. And you've caught us because we're doing a complete review of fasting with emphasis on refeeding, because we've been walking through the combination of strength training and fasting, and we are at the point where we're talking about, hey, what do we do after we've had all this benefit? What do we do in the space so we don't mess up, so that we don't lose the benefits, I guess I should say, that we've had with the fasting and the strength training? Also, we'll take a look at my blood sugars. I've got my monitors off to my side. And we'll take a look and see what those are. I've got my Dexcom Clarity Report, which is right down below me. And then off to the side, I've got my Keto Mojo and I've got my Contour. So we'll see what my blood sugars are, see what's been going on over the last several days as we look at my report. We'll also check my ketones, right, to see what those are. I think yesterday when we did our check-in, it was like 0.8. I think it's been staying at 0.8 over the last couple of days. So we'll see what those are, what it is today. We are, as you heard, walking through the health action plan, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. And it is a blueprint that helps us decide what are the things that we've got to do in order to be healthy. And as part of all of that, there is what I'm calling the MOVE campaign, metabolic optimization via exercise, right? So MOVE. And so we've done our 100-day walk to consistency, which we started at the beginning of the year. We are in the middle, or we're in, not the middle, we're in our strength, strategy, and mindset now, where what I'm doing is I'm providing a space where you come aside, we're doing some weight training, some body toning, some strength training, and this helps to supercharge the things that we're doing. So if you've not joined us yet, make sure that you join us at 6 o'clock every morning. Make sure you get in that space. And then come walk with us as we improve our metabolism. We'll talk more about that here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. I've got my Libre meter. Let's pull that up. So that's my Libre, and right now my blood sugar is 89. And you'll see this graph right about there. And you see that squiggly white line. And so for most of today, it's been below 100, the little spike in the morning, and we'll take a look at that when I look at the Dexcom. That little spike is probably due to dawn phenomenon, probably due to toothpaste. You see that's been an issue for me. But anyway, we'll take a look at what that actual number is here in just a minute. And if I go over to and let's grab my Dexcom, and let's see, come on, Dexcom. My Dexcom says that right now my blood sugar is 94. If we go back 24 hours, you'll see we've been in the 70s and 80s, up to the 90s. And then this morning, right about there, right? So you woke up, brushed my teeth, and boom, see that spike? And I think it got, let's see, where did it get? It got to 108 maybe? 113 was the highest that I saw, 113. and then back down, back down, back down, back down to where we are right now. Okay, so that's within the last 24 hours. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at my my Contour and my Keto Mojo. And for this, let me go ahead and grab one of my containers and grab a test strip for ketones and for glucose for the Keto Mojo. Got those there. And grab Lancet. And then for my Contour, we'll also grab a strip. So what do you think my ketones are going to be? If you're out there and you think you have a guess, what are my ketones going to be? 74 hours, by the way, 74 hours of fasting. And that was unintentional. We had some scheduling issue. We had to, anyway, so we had to do that. And so we're delayed in the fasting, but actually feeling pretty good, to be honest. All right, so let's go ahead and get this strip in. This is for blood sugar for the Keto Mojo. And while that goes, I'm going to open up the one for Contour. Let me go ahead and grab that's my Lancet right there. Let's see, pull that down just a little so you can see that needle. And just grab a finger. And bam, 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 ow, ow, ow. Hopefully that gives me a good drop of blood. That was a little tiny one, oh no. All right, so I think that should be enough to at least get this started. I may have to... Okay, so that's good enough for that one. Let's see if we can. We got to get 2 more drops, y'all. 2 more drops. One for the Contour. Okay, and see right now Keto Mojo says that my blood sugar is 75. One for the Contour, and then I need to open up the strip for ketones, and then the Contour says Keto Mojo says 75. Contour says 87, and then let's pull this one up, and that's my Freestyle Libre says 89. And so let's go ahead and get this strip in here for my ketones. And I need one. Make sure we have a good drop of blood. And get that going. Okay, there we go. All right. And we'll see what that comes up at. And 3, 2, 1, and it is 0.8. Wow. That's actually what it's been the last 3 times we tested it. I think I'm going to... Interesting. I would have expected it to be higher. Remember, ketones that are less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then, of course, above 1.5 are considered therapeutic ketosis. So that's where my blood sugars are. That's where my ketones are. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at what my actual blood sugars have been according to my Dexcom, my Clarity report. And you'll see on the screen there, my average blood sugar is 124 over the last 14 days. And we usually tell people to shoot for about between 100 and 120. My glucose management indicator is 6.3. So if I were to get an A1C based on these numbers, it would be a 6.3. We can't call it a A1C because it's a calculated number, but when we actually draw blood, it should approximate that, okay? An interesting point to be made there is, remember, the calculation is based on the number of blood sugars that the system takes. So, for example, the Dexcom takes blood sugars every 5 minutes. Okay, so blood sugars every 5 minutes. So that's, what do we got? 12 an hour, I think, yeah. So 12 an hour. And the Libre, though, takes it every minute. So we're talking about 60 an hour. So you get, then if you believe the math, you should get a more accurate estimation of your glucose or A1C if you get the Libre compared to the Dexcom, because it has more numbers. You know, that depends on the accuracy, if we believe the accuracy of one machine versus another. But in general, that's an estimated number that's calculated based on the blood sugars that it checks. And then, so if I go back and I look at my 14-day average, my 90-day average, because the A1C is going to be based on the 90 days, you see that my average blood sugar is 116. My glucose management indicator is a 6.1, right? So a little bit better. I'm in target 92% of the time, so that we see here. and the target range is anywhere from 70 to 180. And if I look at my actual blood sugars over the course of the last several days, so here we are, right, at 74 hours of fasting. And so blood sugars have been running in the 70s, 90s, got up to 108, I think was that the highest we saw, or maybe 111? Yeah, right around, 113 was the highest that we saw there in the morning. That's about 6:40, 6:45, 6:43. Before that, we were in the 90s. It actually was down to 70s, right? So upper 80s, low 90s. So that's at 74 hours. If I go back 24 hours from there, notice my blood sugar 80, 82, 80s, 80s, 70s, right? And right there again, right in the morning, 6:48 was usually when I get up, brush my teeth, and you see that spike. So going back to noon, and then we go down, and so now we're at 24 hours right here. That was on Wednesday, and then going back when we started the fast here at 0 hours, 120. So 120, 123, I think I saw there, blood sugar. 24 hours and 24 hours into the fast. So the first day, 92. 24 hours after that, at 48 hours, we're 83. And then 24 hours now, we are 90. Well, no, we were 104. And so we're a couple of hours after that, so 91, 92. Okay? And so that's what's been going on with blood sugars. And I want you to see this. And the reason I'm showing you day after day after day is so that you see what's going on in the fast. So those numbers that you saw were during the fasting period. And for all of those days, we'll talk about that here in a minute, I was doing, we're doing our episode of the show, so we're doing the strength training, so about 35 to 45 minutes of weight training. Okay, so that is what you're seeing there, the benefit of the fasting coupled with, of course, the strength training. So let's go ahead, and I want to do a quick check-in. And the check-in that I'm going to do, if you remember, in our last episode when I did that last night, I talked about the fact that I was in an interesting mind space over the last week because I've not been doing a good job of resting. Since that I've gotten some rest over the last 24 hours, feeling much better, and you'd be happy to know because of that, mentally and emotionally doing well. And so the chocolate, you guys remember the chocolate that I mentioned, and you did not see the video that I put out for our community members that showed the chocolate that I had purchased. All right, if you want to see that, get in the community. And for our community members, you'll be happy to know the chocolate is still in the freezer. I may have to. One of the members said I need to package it and ship it to them. No, I don't want to do that to you. It was a lot of chocolate, y'all. Yeah, just anyway. So right now doing better because I'm well rested or better rested. Still need to do a good job of that. We'll be actually talking about resting as part of our health action plan coming up here in a couple of weeks. So pay attention to that because that is very, very important in what we do and how we're going to be successful as we move through our metabolic optimization. Okay. All right. And so see some of our community members hopping in. I see Pamela out there. Hey, Pam, how are you? Good to see you. Glad that you're in this space. Once again, if you've not joined us for our strength training or our walking, you want to make sure that you join that, and of course, here in our community in this space. All right, so let's hop over. Let's do our conversation. We'll come back and we'll do some chatting here in a minute, and we'll talk with Pam and anybody else who pops in. So glad that you're here. Actually, let me do that right now. Let's go over and let's do this, and we're gonna say hello to Pam. Get that up. Okay, here we are. All right, so Pam is saying, hi, doctor. Hey. I put that down. There we go. It says, hey, doctor, how are you? And so Pam, one of our community members, thank you, by the way, for your comment in the group. When I sent out my video into the group, Pam responded. So glad that you did that. All right. So our conversation. Let's hop over and let's have that right now. All right. So fasting and strength training. Fasting and strength training. So we are in the process of reversing our diabetes, right? When I talk at the top of the show, I usually say, "Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and we are in the process of talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes." That goes without saying. Metabolism, dysfunctional metabolism, is the culprit behind chronic diseases. Whether we're talking about diabetes or high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, obesity, metabolic syndrome, all of those things are tied in together, and the underlying defect is hyperinsulinemia. Insulin is the problem, and insulin is the thing that causes the dysfunction within our metabolism. And so we want to right that. We want to get that going back in the right direction. And so we're using fasting as one of the components, one of the tools, one of the pillars that we are putting in place to say, how do we improve our metabolic milieu, if you will, so that we can become healthier. Fasting is great because it hits three of the pillars, or all three pillars, I guess I should say, of reversing diabetes: decreasing insulin, suppressing appetite, and reducing sugar. All three fasting helps. And so in this space, as we walk through Limitless Living Health Action Plan, one of the tiers is fasting. Another one of the tiers is strength training, because while fasting does those things I just mentioned, strength training it amplifies it beyond measure. And so whenever we're talking about fasting, we want to understand what's going on in the body, what's happening, and then if we're saying now that the strength training helps that, what is really happening in the system, and how is strength training helping it? Okay, so I want to back up a little bit, and I want to do a little bit of review from our last episode, and talking about what's going on in the body. What's going on in the body during the fasting period, the hours after we finish eating. Okay, so we're going to go through that, and then the big thing that we're talking about today is refeeding. What do we do with refeeding? So I'm going to go through this first part really quickly. And in fact, I have what I'm going to break my fast with here, so you'll get to see that as well. And I want to talk also about how do we get into the fast. Okay, how do we get into the fast? So the fasting is not just not eating. That's the first point to be made. That it's not just a matter of not eating. Fasting, understanding what it's really doing, there are hormonal changes, there are neurological changes, there are psychological things that are going on during the fasting period. That's why fasting has become a tremendous health related tool that we have. But if you think back in our history, fasting has been used by cultures for everything from health to cultural, religious, spiritual practices, because there are so many benefits that are tied into it. We talk about fasting here as it relates to our health, and remember the domains of health, all of those things, fasting can be a part of them, whether it's your physical, emotional, mental, psychological, spiritual, relation, right? So we went through those 8 domains. So fasting is there. So it's not just about not eating. It is also about how those different areas in your life are impacted by the fasting. Because when we fast, not only are we not putting things in terms of calories and carbs, but when we fast, we are removing one of the buffering behaviors that is common to a lot of us. That is the food. So that has psychological implications. So as we're getting into the fast, we want to understand that it is a physical thing, right? In terms of energy, right? So we're taking that energy away and we're making the body shift to burning other sources of energy, fat. It is a psychological thing because now we have to face life on life's terms, and we have to face life without that buffer that we used to have. And so we now have to develop tools, coping skills, say our cope model. We have to develop coping skills that will help us successfully get through life without turning to food. Those of us who are emotional eaters, those of us who buffer with food, those of us who are triggered by food, all of that, when we're fasting, we have to figure out a better way of doing it. So physical, emotional, fasting also resets a lot of the things that are going on in our body, because our modern life, the stresses that we're under, the ways that we eat, the lack of rest that we get, there are constant spikes in our cortisol level, which is a stress hormone. And during the fast, those things become better regulated. When we fast, we begin correcting ghrelin and leptin, which are our hunger and satiety hormones. Our body becomes more insulin sensitive. All of this is happening during the fast. Okay, so preparing for the fast helps us to set a vision for what's going on, right? We're preparing physically, mentally, and emotionally. The things that we eat going into the fast they are very important, because if we're eating high carb meals, when we get into the fast, it delays the benefit of the fast because our body is so busy dealing with the food that we ate. So preparing well means eating well. So as you get through the fast, and looking at my blood sugars over the last several weeks or several days, you saw that when I ate my last meal, that the blood sugar did not spike up. In fact, the blood sugar stayed relatively stable, and relatively stable compared to what happens often when we eat. And so I started eating, and we're going to pop that up here so that you can take a look at it, get a good visual. So started eating right about there. Okay, and if you watch the blood sugars over the next 36 hours, you'll see that we started at 122, and then over the course, so we had our last meal there, and we started over the course of that time. So look at that, the blood sugar is actually going down, right? 120s, 100s. And this is the benefit of fasting, right? So the things that I ate as I got into the meal did not have a significant impact on my blood sugar. And this is now 74 hours later, we're still seeing the residual of that. We're still in the 90s, 80s, 100s. Okay? And so fasting, the things that we eat getting into the fast, they are very important. The rest that we get going into the fast, very important. And I have this week not done a great job of resting. And so in my mind, I was thinking about food more, even though my body was not hungry, but it was all up here. So as we're preparing for the fast, getting good rest, not just eating well, getting good rest also. And then not putting ourselves in a high stress environment during the fast. Very important, because remember the heat model, habits, emotions, access, and taste. When we are fasting, or not even when we're fasting, but if we're not careful, those are the things that will drive us and push us off of our meal plan, our eating behavior that we have. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. The habits that we form, just the social cues that we see that push us to eat. The emotions, you get too tired, too frustrated, too bored. All of those things will push through our desire to eat a certain way. Having things around us, if we've not cleaned out our environment of those things that trigger us, the types of food that trigger us, and then the memories that on the taste, the memories that we have of how the food behaved or how our body responded. That time when we ate that food, when we were with that person and we felt that way. All of that we have to kind of deal with as we are moving through the fast. We've got to understand ourselves well enough so that we know what some of those triggers are. So preparing for the fast. So when we're in the fast, and we're now coupling fasting with strength training. So when we're in the fast, those 0 to 12 hours, the first 12 hours after we eat, the post-meal recovery, right? We usually break that up into two and call it like the postprandial period, first 6 hours. The next 6 hours, we call that the early fasting stage. Putting them together, this is what we call the post-meal recovery. This is the phase where the body is absorbing all the food that you just ate. You're still burning glucose from the last meal that you had. This is a great time to train, to do strength training, because the glucose is already there and it has to go somewhere. The body is in the process of figuring out where to send it, to the liver, send it to the fat cells, send it to the muscles. Well, not the muscles, but the fat cells. And in this space, if we start strength training, remember the body supercharges those GLUT transporters and they suck the sugar into the blood without it now going and filling up the fat cells. Glycogen is still available during this time. You're still mildly anabolic, so you're building, right? So you're still building those fat cells, and we can direct that information, that food, to go somewhere else. Okay? But from a fat burning and cellular healing standpoint, you're just getting started even in that space. The next 24 hours, or next 12 hours, 12 to 24 hours, right? So this is the crossover zone. The glycogen stores are beginning to go down, so the liver is getting empty. Insulin levels are starting to drop significantly, and fatty acid oxidation is increasing. That is, the body is now saying, okay, the energy from my liver is gone. Where am I going to get energy from? Let me start looking at the stored energy that's now in my liver. And this is a great time to begin doing some light to moderate exercises. Your growth hormone levels are going up. Because remember, growth hormone is that muscle preservation hormone. When we fast, it goes up. And when we strength train, when those muscles are contracting, the body sends a lot of that out, and it causes the GLUT4 transporters to go and say, hey, I need sugar, and it sucks the sugar out of the blood without us having to use insulin. And that's the key, because remember, we're always trying to decrease the amount of insulin that we have. It's a great time for light to moderate resistance training. Right? It helps to preserve muscles. It enhances your fat adaptation, increases those GLUT transporters, and it encourages this amazing process called autophagy, which is the body's recycling process, where the body goes out and finds damaged, unused, broken parts of itself, and then takes those, it sends them to recycling, and then reformats them, and then sends them back to us as better, more efficient components. And then the 24 to 48 hour period where the hormonal milieu is changing. This is the sweet spot. This is what we call deep metabolic adaptation. By 72 hours, right? 74 hours. What we're doing is we're seeing an amazing process happening because insulin has gone down to rock bottom. Ketones are elevated. Fat is the dominant fuel, and growth hormone and adrenaline, right, stress hormone, all of those now are protecting our body. They are enhancing our ability to use energy. They are causing the muscles to become engaged. And this is a prime window to do strength training that promotes fat loss without muscle loss, right? Because that's always a concern. Those GLUT4 transporters have elevated, and they are acting independently of insulin. So our use of insulin goes way, way, way down. So our body becomes more insulin sensitive. And we get boosting of our mental clarity, and we get neurochemical activation. So we think better. The body's now producing what's called BDNF, so brain-derived natriuretic factor. And at this point, training is like lighting a fire in a room full of dry wood. Your body is ready to burn stored energy efficiently. And we begin to see the weight loss. So we are seeing weight loss without muscle loss. That's the benefit of putting them together. Okay? So that's what's going on in the body. And so light movement light movement, strength training, and if you've been watching us, you've been following us along, you see in the morning we're out there, right? And so we're doing weightlifting, we're doing presses, we're doing curls and press, we're doing hammer curls, we're doing squats, the goblet squats. All of those are with the intention that what I want to do is I want my muscles to say, hey, give me sugar, give me sugar. And so as you saw those numbers here a little while ago, as we looked at what I ate for my last meal, and over the last 74 hours, pretty consistent blood sugars. Because I'm fasting, which resets everything, and I'm supercharging the fasting process by doing the strength training. Now, I was at one of our stores today, Walmart, and I was kind of walking through. I've got a video that I created, and it was with the intention of saying, hey, I'm out here, and you saw the things that I use, but you don't have to go buy anything. And that's the beauty of the MOVE campaign, metabolic optimization via exercise. It is the first tier, walking and fasting. Boom, there it is. Low cost. You don't need to have a lot of decisions. You don't have to have a committee. You yourself, hey, let's do this. Let's fast and let's walk. And then the strength training are simple things that you can do, right? You can use your body. You can do push-ups against the wall. You could do knee push-ups. Don't have any weights? Go ahead. Now get some baggies, put some cans in there. That's your weights. Okay? If you can't get all the way down to do an air squat, right? That's where you're squatting down. Get a chair and stand and sit on the chair. Guess what? There you are. That's your strength training. You are working those muscles. And when you work those muscles, they begin sucking up sugar without the use of insulin. And that's a key point that I want to make sure that you're understanding. If insulin is the issue, the less insulin we have to use, the less insulin we have to take if you're on medication, the less insulin the body has to produce if you are pre-diabetic, the less insulin the body has to use if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, obesity. All of those are hyperinsulinemic diseases. So decreasing the insulin is our goal, right? So that's the preparing for the fast. That's what's going on in the body during the fast. And then then refeeding. And refeeding is important because how you fuel the body is important. How you get through the fast is important, but how you refeed the body is also very important. You've made it through the fast. You've trained your muscles while the body was fasting, while it was burning fat. Now comes the part that most people overlook. But it might be the most important phase of all. How you break your fast determines what your body does next. I've said, if whatever you break the fast with is what you're going to be craving for the next 24 to 36 hours. And when you've paired fasting with strength training, your body is like a dry sponge, and it's ready now to soak up nutrients with maximum efficiency. So let's talk about fasting or breaking the fast, the post-fast, the refeeding. So post-fast equals the prime time for nutrient absorption. At the end of a 57, 72, 74-hour fast, this is incredible. Insulin sensitivity is at its low peak. Insulin sensitivity is at its peak. It's the highest. It's the lowest insulin resistance when we are in our eating and our fasting phase, because you're at the end of the fast, the body's not having to use insulin, and so it's ready. The GLUT4 transporters are active because you've been fasting and you've been strength training. And they are ready now to suck up sugar and nutrients into this muscle cells. Your body is primed for repair because growth hormone also is up. And so all the signals that you've just sent the body, the fasting, the strength training, the growth hormone going up, the GLUT4 going up, the stuff that you did as you prepared for the fast, the mental image that you have, the vision that you have, everything that you've done so far has said to the body, when I begin giving you food again, I don't need you to store it. I need you to use it. Not to store it, but to use it. I don't need you to store fat. I don't need to put on anymore. This is your opportunity to refine what you're doing. We're refilling muscle glycogen. We're rebuilding lean tissue, and we're stabilizing our energy levels without spiking the blood sugars or crashing our metabolism. That's the goal. Because just like we saw blood sugars when I ended my eating, right, whatever the meal I ate, the blood sugars were relatively stable. So our goal coming out of the fast is also to maintain glucose or glycemic stability. We don't want crashes. We don't want spikes. This is the window where you shift from catabolic, that's breaking down, to anabolic, rebuilding. So what do we want to eat? Here's your body. This is what your body needs. Okay? One, it needs protein. So protein stimulates protein synthesis. Protein, when we eat it, it helps to stabilize our blood sugar. It helps to slow the GI tract. It helps us not feel hungry. So we're coming out of the fast, and even in the end of the fast, whatever we eat can help us maintain that idea of, yeah, I'll eat because I need nutrients, but I'm not eating because I'm ravenous. I'm not eating because, I just want to eat. I'm not eating because I'm eating because I need to eat. During this period, right, that protein. So about 20 to 40 grams of protein is probably what's needed. It rebuilds tissues that have been damaged during training. Because remember, as you're lifting, right, you're stretching those muscles. You may get some tears in those muscles. And the recovery of that, which is what growth hormone helps to speed up, the recovery of that needs protein. And so protein is very important at the end of fasting. What we're refeeding is very important. It helps to regulate our appetite through the leptin, right? And the GLP-1 receptors response. Now, everybody talks about the GLP-1 receptor agonists. These are Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound. Do you know that your body naturally has those substances in it? That's why they work. We're giving a super dose of it, but we already have Ozempic type molecules in our body. We have molecules that are like Mounjaro. That's why they work, because they attach to the system that the body already has in it. And so how do we ourselves activate that without the medication? Here it is right here. So examples of things that we can eat to have protein, there's eggs, lean poultry, there's fish, there's whey protein, there's tofu, there's tempeh. Right, so all of those are places where we can get protein from. And so our goal during the fast, or when we're breaking the fast, when we're refeeding, is to get some protein in. The next is complex carbohydrates. Not simple, highly processed, but complex carbohydrates. We want to replenish the muscle glycogen that's there. Remember, the body, the liver stores about 100 grams of glycogen, and the muscles probably store about 300. And so we want to give it glycogen, we want to give it carbs that are not highly processed, because when we it's going to replenish it. Let me say that, right? So there's no way for you to stop the body from taking some of the stuff you eat, the carbs, and putting it into the liver, because that's what the liver is supposed to do. So it's going to replace it, but we want to replace it without causing a big spike in blood sugar. Because if we cause a spike in blood sugar, now insulin comes out, and the insulin is the issue. So if I eat complex carbs, the body's able to take those and it's able to break those down without causing a significant spike in blood sugar and insulin. So that's the goal. And so the complex carbs support recovery and hormonal rebalance. Choices for carbs would be things like beans, so lentils, black beans, red beans, squash, quinoa would be one. If you're going to eat berries, because some people say, I love berries and I do want to eat them, I don't usually recommend you eating berries during the refeeding, but if you're going to eat berries, you want to eat berries that are high in fiber. Those are things like blackberries and blueberries. You want to avoid ultra-processed carbs or sugary foods. They will spike your blood sugar and they will cause unnecessary use of insulin. Healthy fats, right? It's optional, but we want to use healthy fats if we're going to use it. It supports hormonal protection and it provides safety, hormone safety for the body. Because a lot of the hormones come from fat. They're coming from cholesterol, by the way, y'all. So best sources of that would be things like avocado, olive oil, nuts, seeds. You want to keep it light. If your meal already has carbs, right? So carbs, protein is good, fats are good, healthy fats, but if we already have some carbs in there, some of those carbs are actually going to be turned into fat. We want to make sure that we're doing well with our electrolytes. It's crucial. Electrolytes and fluids after a fast, particularly a long fast. You may drop some sea salt in it, some magnesium, potassium. There are some refeeding electrolyte fluids. That's the word I was looking for. There's a refeeding fluids that you can get that are commercially available. You want to make sure that you get the ones that don't have a lot of sugar. If you think back to a little while ago, I went out and I bought something that says zero sugar or 0 calories, thinking sugar, but it wasn't zero sugar. It was, yeah. So you want to consider things like bone broth, lightly salted veggies, or one of the hydrating mixes. Okay? You want to be mindful when you're refeeding. No binging and no crashing. Come on, no binging, no crashing. A common mistake that we do when we break a fast is we overeat. We eat a lot of processed foods. We eat too much sugar, and we eat too little protein. So we don't want to make that mistake. When we do that, what that does is it leads to rapid blood sugar spikes. And when the spike happens, guess what? Like we said, yeah, that's it. What happens is that we end up with more insulin, and the insulin, of course, is the problem that we see. It also can cause digestive discomfort, right? GI tract problems, which we don't want. It can cause fatigue and inflammation because now the sugar, the highly processed sugar, causes those, because remember, sugar is pro-inflammatory, by the way. It also causes a blunted insulin response because now we made our body insulin sensitive during the fast. And now because we're putting all this stuff in, our body begins to become more insulin resistant at the point where we ended the fast. So we're undoing some of the benefit that we got during the fast. So instead, you want to break your fast with intention. Sit down, chew slowly. Come on. It takes about 20 minutes for a signal to get from your stomach to your brain that you're full. Start with a small, balanced meal. Let your body adjust before you just jump back in there. Before going back to more stuff. You've done some work. You've been fasting. You've been walking. All the body is just primed. Don't undo the progress by rushing in and refeeding inappropriately. So you want to refeed and then repeat. Refeed and then repeat. What does that mean? The beauty of pairing strength training with fasting is that the cycle builds on itself. So fasting lowers insulin and primes the system. Strength training activates the muscles. Refeeding delivers the targeted nutrients to the right places. Your recovery is stronger. You are leaner. You're more insulin sensitive. And the next fast starts from a more metabolically flexible place. So notice what I said. And so people say, oh, well, I fasted and I didn't see any benefit. I said, when did you fast? Well, how many times did you fast? Well, I did it that one time. No. Because each fast, right, when we do fasting right, the next time we fast, we're starting with a better machine. We're starting from a place of better metabolic flexibility. And that's not just a diet. That's a transformational system. So fasting opens the window. Training widens it. Refeeding is how you climb through. So you want to eat to rebuild, fuel to function, and never underestimate the power of the post-fast meal. Because we can undo the things that we did if we don't do that right. So refeeding, very, very important. So here's what we've learned this week. Fasting isn't just about withholding food. And strength training isn't just about building muscle. Together, they become one of the most powerful tools you have to reverse insulin resistance, improve energy, lower inflammation, and build a body that heals itself. Righting our metabolism. That's the goal. So eating is important, but fasting creates the space. Strength training builds the structure. And timing, nutrient, refeeding, and consistency are how you lock it in for life. Remember, we're not just trying to manage numbers. We're not just trying to reach, we are not just trying to get you to do something for a couple of weeks and a couple of months. We are retraining your metabolism to make the most of what you're giving it. We're trying to make it more flexible, more efficient, more aligned with the life you're building. You're not just surviving anymore. You're rewiring your system. You're not just burning fat. You're burning the excess. You're becoming metabolically free. And you're doing it with structure, intention, and clarity. So as we continue walking through the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, all of these build on each other. Pillar 2 and 3, right? Fasting and strength training are in harmony. This is a combination of tier 1 and tier 2. And the Limitless Living Action Plan, this is it in motion. And this is how we live a limitless life. Not by chance, but by design. We are taking charge. We are doing the things we've got to do to make sure that nothing is preventing us from doing what we need to do. Love it, love it, love it. Amazing process when we put those two together. We will continue in our next episode to talk through the next tier of Limitless Living Health Action Plan. Make sure you join us for that. All right, right. Man, I love this conversation. I was telling somebody recently that as I have walked through the process of my transformation, right? And once again, you guys, if you've been following me, if you've been watching the channel, you've seen kind of a change over time. And if you have not, go back and watch some of our early videos. And I've been tempted, actually, to take some of those videos down. As a matter of fact, there is on my wall some pictures that we took that when I walk through my living room, you know those big giant pictures that people take and put in their houses? Yeah, we have some of those. And when I look up at the picture, the guy that I see there is the guy that was in a bad space. Physically, emotionally, and mentally, right? Because emotionally and mentally express itself through the physical. And so I'm tempted to say, let's take that down, take those pictures down, because I don't want to be reminded. I'm tempted to say, let's take the videos down, because I don't want to be reminded. But here's the key. Here's the thing. That is my experience. That has been my journey. What I am now is a direct result of the pain that comes through the pictures and the videos that you see. And so for many of us, we want to forget that. We're going to leave it behind us. But I want to remind you that however painful it was, however traumatic it was, and I don't intend to minimize anybody's experience, but you are the person you are right now, in part because of what you've had to overcome, because of what you had to learn, because of the connections you've had to make, because of the community that you've been, because of the people around you, because of what's going on in your mind right now. And so the past is the past. We can't change the past. I've made some health decisions that I am dealing with the consequences right now. We can't change that. But what we can do is we can say that from this moment forward, it's not going to be like that. I'm not just letting things happen to me. And the Limitless Living Health Action Plan is the functional arm for health of the things that we're talking about. And so it is the blueprint that we want you to begin following, the blueprint that you should be on. Now, we'll come back and we'll put it together and talk about scheduling and so those types of things. But right now, I want you to get this, that this is not something that we are doing for today or tomorrow or for next week and then, oh yeah, we did that thing that time. No. Limitless living is our plan. It is our life goal. I am not allowing anything, is what it says, to prevent me from doing what I need to do. Nothing from outside, nothing you can do, no circumstance, no situation, and nothing from inside. No hurt feelings, no memories, no trauma, nothing from inside. From letting me do what I need to do to be successful when it comes to my health and when it comes to my metabolism. That's why I love this conversation. Because of practical things that we can do that sets us up for the best possibility of success. Awesome. Let's go over. I see some of our community members. Let's go ahead and say hello. And we saw Pamela said, hi, doctor. And Anthony says, hey, doc. Hello, everyone. Hey, Anthony, thanks for coming through. Bowie says hi. And Bowie, I did get your message. I saw that. Thank you for, and I feel you. It is, yeah, one of these weeks, right? Bowie said, just came back from my run. It's funny having my kid yelling for me to slow down for once. I love it. Bowie says, hi, Anthony. And Pamela says, hi, Anthony. Hi, Bowie. Pamela says, hi, Bowie. No, that's funny. Yes. Bowie says, exercise and walking is fun, but avoiding stress eating is my real battle. Yes, it is a thing. And I point everyone to our, and let me just hop over there really quickly. I point everyone to our COPE model. And remember, the things that we learn are frameworks that take practice. One of the conversations I had with some of my patients, colleagues, friends who are in the military, because I asked them, I say, hey, what is it that allows a team of people to go into danger and when everybody else is running in the opposite direction, for those people to go towards danger? Because that's what we ask them to do. Right? We're saying, hey, we know this is a dangerous situation, but we need you to go in there. And you know what they tell me often? They tell me practice and community. Practice and community. It is when there's no danger that you rehearse. It's when there's nobody attacking you that you practice what to do when they do attack. That's why you see for for military, for police, for law enforcement. They're always practicing. It's not okay. Well, hey, here's a badge. You go out and do what you got. No, it's okay. We're going to go through this over and over and over and over and over and over. We're going to get you trained. Number one, training. So the things that we learn, we have got to be practicing them during the time when there's not the stress, when there's not the pressure, when there's not the temptation. Because during the temptation, guess what? I'm going to put my hands up. Most times, guess what's going to happen? Yeah, we're going to eat it. We're going to get off the plan. If we are just doing that during the temptation time. So practice, number one. And then number two, community. Because when you are in that space where there's danger, and you understand that the guy or gal next to you has your back, and they understand that you have their back. Now, as a group, we can move towards danger. We can move in that direction because we understand that we're not by ourselves. Come on. Right? So we train as a team. And so I encourage you, if you've not created around you a support system, if you are not part of our community, come join our community. Come join us on the lives. Come join us in our community meetups. The community. I've got a couple of friends, and we're in a community. It's not for health. It's not health stuff. It's just a bunch of my friends. They're my boys, and there are times when one of us says a word. I'm not talking about a whole sentence. I'm not talking about even looking at each other. But they say a word and the rest of us start laughing. Why? Because we've built a memory together. That's community. When you're in community, when you are struggling and you say, man, I bought 24 Cadbury chocolates this week. You don't have to explain that to anybody in the community. Because they're like, I got it. Right? But other people who are not having that experience, they say, well, why'd you do that? Didn't you know that was going to raise your blood sugar? That's not on your eating plan. Now, those are great questions. And those are things that I probably should think. But guess what? I just said to you, brought 24 Cadbury chocolates. And there are people saying, yeah, I get it. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that we understood, and going back to that, going back to the COPE model. But yeah, I got that. I got exercise and walking is fun, but avoiding stress eating is my real challenge. Yeah, and it's a big one for all of us. Pamela says, know that your journey is an inspiration to me. Okay, so Pam, great. I think you're commenting to Bowie about the avoiding stress. I believe, if I'm mistaken, just put that in. But yeah, and this, once again, this is the thing, right? So our let me go back and say it like I've been saying it. Let me say that. So as tortuous, as imperfect, as problematic, as bumpy as your journey has been, your story is exactly the answer to somebody else's question. Come on. That's the answer to their question. And sometimes the question is simply, can I do it? And to see someone else, and you can say, oh, yeah, I know that person who did it. So if they can do it, so can I. And that is the beauty. That is the beauty of you telling your story. Sometimes our stories are painful, and I get that. They're painful, and we want to basically tie it up, put it in a box, wrap it up, and bury it. And never have us or anybody else look at that. And I've been there. For years and years and years and years and years. People around me didn't know I had diabetes. I'm telling you, I went through my entire training in medicine, in residency, and in fellowship. And over the course of those 4, 5, 4, 8, 9, 10, over the course of those 12 years, 3 people in my circle knew I was diabetic. 12 years. So I get it. I feel it. When people are talking to me about where they are in their minds, in their space, yeah, I'm tying into you. I get it. I get it. But I encourage you here in this space, right? We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate, we empower, and encourage. We educate with the shows, with the blogs, with the podcasts. That's what we do. We empower with the tools, strength training, strength strategy, and mindset, 100-day walk to consistency, our fasting paradigm that we're doing, our health action plan that we're doing, balanced bites, all of those things, the COPE model, all of those are tools that we're giving for you now to be able to put into practice the things that we've learned. And then we encourage with the community. The community, I cannot stress that enough. You're going to be successful long term? Get in community. Amazing. Now, you know what? I was supposed to be eating some stuff. Let's see. Pam says, no, the journey. Oh, Pam says, no, your journey. Oh, thank you, Pam. Thank you. And then let me go back there. Pam says, no, it's your journey. So I appreciate that. And Boy says, your old videos inspire me and gives me hope and inspiration. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Don't you know that, yeah, sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm taking this entire year out. This entire 2 years is going down. and then I've got to, I said, no, just calm down. Just leave it there. It's good. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to pull up for myself, or pull up for you, what I was supposed to eat earlier. I'm not going to eat it all on screen, but I just wanted you to see what it is I was going to eat. And I will start it actually here. All right. So let's do this. All right. So what I've got here, I've got a salad, and this salad is it has lettuce, of course, tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. Got some avocados. One of our community members said, said that she wanted me to eat avocado. And here is some. This is probably skirt steak. This is not a salad that I create. I added stuff to this, but it's a salad that I got from work that they brought in yesterday. And I took because they had like corn and croutons and all that stuff. So I took it out and said, hey, I'm going to use this as an example of what I'm going to eat. So this is what I'm going to eat. So I've got some protein in there. There is some, I think, horseradish dressing that's below this. And then I don't think this is enough protein for me to use as I break the fast. So what I've done is I got a piece of baked chicken, right? And that is baked chicken. It's got some hot sauce on it. And I've got some nuts. Okay. Now, of the things here, of the things that you see, the thing right now that's pushing my button is this stuff right here. Because that's my weakness. Well, that and Cadbury chocolate, but I don't have any Cadbury right now. And so this is probably not a serving, by the way, right? That's because I think 18 of those is a serving, and that's like much more than 18. So the salad we're going to eat, and the chicken we're going to eat, and we're probably going to eat about a third of the nuts that are there. That should give me enough protein in this space. The reason I want to do that is that I want to make sure that I'm not having big spikes in my blood sugar. I want to make sure that I am providing my body with an adequate set of nutrients. I want to make sure that I'm providing it with some fat. I want to make sure that those GLUT4 transporters, when they get stuff, right, they're not having to get overwhelmed with highly processed sugars. So this is the plan, right? This is the food. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna start eating. So right here you go. Look at this. Look at this, 74 hours. Actually, 75 hours now. Delicious. And right now you see, let's see. That's what my blood sugar is now. The thing that's probably gonna spike it up the most are these tomatoes. That is good. Of course, now that I'm tasting the dressing, the dressing is too good to not have any sugar in it, by the way. So I think there might be some sugar in there. But the other reason that I wanted to do this, and I think I made this point last time, and I made it several times this week in the office, was that there are ways of going out to eat and still maintaining your eating plan. All right, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about balanced bites. So you don't have to scrap your plan just because you're going out, because in those places there are things that you can eat. You can actually create a meal that is in keeping with balanced bites. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. Right? You don't have to bring the whole restaurant over to your table so that everybody knows that you're eating a particular... No. You just go through the menu. As a matter of fact, when you go to somebody's house, they don't even have to know that you're that you're not eating everything. You just choose things that are in keeping with how you're eating at the time. Okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself talking about our next pillar. Delicious. So what I didn't do was I didn't add any cheese to this. Because usually I do that. Remember when I eat my salads? Because there's usually not a lot of cheese in those salads. But I knew that there was this horseradish thing, and I think there's also some Caesar dressing in there. So if you are, well, I guess I didn't ask. How many of you, if you did a fast with us this week, just put yes. If you did a fast with us this week, whether it was whatever type of fast you did, if you started it during our fasting time, so we've been fasting since Tuesday to Wednesday is 24 hours, Wednesday to Thursday 24 hours, and then of course Thursday to today 24 hours. So if you've done that, not the entire 72 or not 74, but any fasting this week, just put yes. Awesome. I see Pam. Pam says yes. Awesome. This is so delicious, y'all. I know I should stop and end the show, but and Pam, so what did you eat to end your fast, to break your fast? Boy said I got to 24 hours. Let's see. Got to 24 hours and admitted binged. Admitting admitting to binging. So let's pause. So boy, you give us some good. You've given us some good conversation prompts. Pam said salad and nuts. Very good. But let's go back to talk about Bowie's question. Excuse me. Never chew and try to drink at the same time, because it'll work. So I want to address, and you didn't ask a question, but I'm gonna make it into a kind of a question comment. But let me make the comment first. I want everyone to understand one principle. And it is this: progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. And I think when we do that, we actually give our brains and our bodies a supercharge. Because one of the things I explain to people in the office when we're talking about diabetes and what they're eating is that we go into these restrictive thought patterns. Like, I'll have someone who's been diagnosed with diabetes recently, and they'll go home and they'll like clean house. They'll throw everything away. And I'll say to them, hey, tell me a little bit about what you eat. They say, well, I've given up carbs, I've given up sodas, I've given up ice cream, I've given up, and they tell me all the things that they've stopped doing. And I said, well, why did you do that? I said, because I know this is good for my health. And notice in that statement that they've just made, they've created friction. I threw it away because it's good for my health. So I said, well, do you like sodas? Oh yeah, I love sodas. I said, do you like what? I mean, I'll name some of the things that they threw away. I said, do you like that? They said, yeah. I said, so you've given it up? I said, yeah. I'm not eating that again. I said, like, for the rest of your life? They said, yeah. Because it's not good for me. So we've associated now good for me with doing stuff I don't like. Going to your mom's house, your cousin's house, going to a family function, going to a restaurant, and saying, man, I can't eat any of that stuff because it's good for me. Because it's not good for me. Friction. So what I recommend that people do is, when you have a situation like that, say to yourself, okay, I know they have 100 different cookies on the table. I'm going to pick 2 and I'm going to have some of those. When you do that, the brain says, hey, I'm not restricting. I can have 3 if I want, but I've decided to do 2. And 2 is enough for me right now. In fact, sometimes, here's the kicker to this. There are some times when you've made that decision and you'll get there and you say, you know what? I'm just going to have 1. But the moment you tell yourself, that I'm going and I'm going to resist. I'm not going to have any of the stuff that's there. Guess what? You're going to end up eating, because you're going to lose that battle, and you're going to end up eating 10 cookies. So as we are going through the fasting process, as we're going through limitless living, as we're going through the health action plan, I want to encourage you that this is a choice that I'm making. This is a choice I'm making to be healthy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it rough. I'm going to do it imperfectly. I'm going to do it with starts and stops, but I'm doing it. And I'm allowing myself to be human so that when I don't do it perfectly, I know, yeah, I can get back up and I could start over. I could do it again. I can go through it again. So that's a concept that I want everyone to get. And when Bowie talked about, I wanted to say that, one, in support of you, Bowie, to let you know, hey, it is a thing that it happens. It happens. And in fact, I've got to hurry up and get out of here and go and get rid of those 24 Cadburys that are in the refrigerator, in the freezer. That's right. I said 24. You heard me right. Actually, I think it might be a couple more. Okay. Let's get back over here. Look at my blood sugar. That's what we are according to the Libre. What we are according to the Dexcom. And what I didn't show was my weight for today. 189. 189. Let's look at the trends. So here, let's see, we started, so we ended the fast over here last week, 188.8, and we went up to 191.4, 191, started the fast right there, 189.2, 188.8, and then 188. Is that 189? Yeah, 189.2. The benefits, the power of fasting, the power of strength training, the power of walking, the power of the combination that we're calling the health action plan. Not perfect, imperfect, rocky, problematic at times. This week, thinking about food more, going to the grocery store and buying Cadbury chocolate. And I went 3 times, and each time I came all the way with 3 or 4. And when I got home last night, I looked in the freezer, because I put them in the freezer because they get hard, and I love that crisp. I don't like soft chocolate, by the way. That's ice cream. And I pulled them out, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh yeah. But the benefits of consistency, of keep coming back, of keep trying, keep doing, keep working, keep moving. Incredible. Insulin resistance improved, weight improved, cholesterol, high blood pressure, fatty liver, all of that improving as you are moving down the path. I'm always happy to be here with you. Glad that you are in this space. Glad that you're continuing to move. We'll be back on tomorrow, 9 p.m. Central, for Video from the Vault. We'll be back on Sunday morning, This Week in Review at 6 a.m. Central. And we'll be right back here, Dwain Woode MD Live, 7 p.m. Central on Monday, as we continue our walk through the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, which is the blueprint, the functional arm that we're using to reverse our diabetes. It is the pathway. It is the plan that we're saying, okay, follow this. If you follow this, you will see improvement. And I encourage you, when you come, don't just be a spectator. Notice the name of it, the Health Action Plan. The things that we learn are theory until you infuse your behavior, until you infuse your action into it. That's when it comes to life and it flourishes and it takes wings of its own. And you will begin seeing benefits that you never imagined possible. And then don't keep it to yourself. Let somebody know that their health can be better. They can improve. They can go to the store and just grab something off the rack one day without having to search. So I'm so glad that you're here. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives, which says that we're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We are presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. Go and live a limitless life, and we'll see you at the next episode. Bye-bye, everybody.